It was a dark and stormy night when a group of students decided to explore the abandoned hallway of their high school. Little did they know they were not alone. Imagine an old, forgotten part of the school, a hallway that has been sealed off for years. The doors creak with age, and the walls are covered with layers of dust and cobwebs. This is where our story unfolds. A group of curious students, driven by tales of ghostly encounters, decided to venture into this forsaken corridor. Armed with nothing but their courage and a single flashlight, they pushed open the heavy doors and stepped into the unknown. As they walked down the hallway, the air grew colder and an eerie silence enveloped them. The sound of their footsteps echoed ominously, amplifying their fear. They noticed strange markings on the walls, symbols and scribbles that seemed to tell a story of their own. The further they went, the more they felt an unshakable sense of dread, as if they were being watched. Suddenly, the flashlight flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. Panic set in, but they managed to calm themselves enough to continue. They fumbled for their phones, using the dim light to guide them. That's when they heard it, a soft, almost imperceptible whisper calling their names. The voice seemed to come from all directions, growing louder and more insistent with each passing second. One of the students, braver than the rest, decided to move forward, determined to uncover the source of the whispers. As he reached the end of the hallway, he saw it, a shadowy figure standing in the corner, barely visible in the faint light. The figure seemed to be watching them, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The student froze, unable to move as the figure began to approach. The rest of the group, realizing the danger, grabbed their friend and ran back the way they came. They burst through the doors, gasping for breath, their hearts pounding with fear. They never spoke of that night again, but the memory haunted them, a constant reminder of the terror they had faced. The abandoned hallway was sealed off once more, but the stories continued to spread. Some say the shadowy figure still roams the corridor, waiting for the next group of curious students to venture into its domain. So, if you ever find yourself near an old, forgotten part of your school, remember this story. Some places are better left undisturbed, for the secrets they hold are far too dangerous to uncover. Now, let's move on to our next chilling tale. But before we do, let me tell you about another eerie incident that happened in the same school. It was during a late-night study session when the clock struck midnight. The lights began to flicker, and the students felt a sudden chill. A ghostly figure appeared at the back of the classroom, causing the students to scream in terror. The figure vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving the students to wonder if they had imagined it all. The classroom was empty the next day, but whispers of the ghostly encounter spread like wildfire. The school was never the same again, with students avoiding the classroom where the incident occurred. The school at night became a place of fear, with sightings of the ghostly figure becoming more frequent. Students began to share their own ghost stories, and the legend of the haunted school grew. So remember, some places are better left undisturbed, for the secrets they hold are far too dangerous to uncover. Now let's move on to our next chilling tale. During a late-night study session, a student encounters a ghostly figure in the classroom. As the night progresses, the haunting becomes more intense. Imagine walking into a classroom, the same classroom you've been sitting in for years. But today something feels different. The air is thick with an unexplainable tension, and a cold shiver runs down your spine as you take your seat. This is where our story begins, a tale of a haunted classroom that has left students and teachers alike questioning their sanity. It all started with small things, a flickering light, a misplaced book, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. But soon the occurrences became more sinister. Students reported seeing shadowy figures at the back of the room, figures that would disappear the moment anyone tried to get a closer look. Desks would move on their own, and inexplicable cold spots would appear. Despite the room being heated, one night a student decided to stay late and get to the bottom of the mystery. Armed with a flashlight and a determined spirit, he entered the classroom, unaware of the terror that awaited him. As he sat down to study, the temperature dropped drastically. His flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed through the room, whispering his name. He looked around, but saw nothing. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. Panic set in, but he forced himself to stay, determined to uncover the source of the haunting. Then he saw it, a ghostly figure standing in the corner, barely visible in the dim light. The figure seemed to be watching him, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The student froze, unable to move as the figure began to approach. The air grew colder, and the whispers turned into a deafening roar. Terrified, the student grabbed his belongings and fled the classroom, vowing never to return. The school administration tried to dismiss his claims, attributing them to an overactive imagination. But the experience was too real, too terrifying to ignore. The classroom was eventually sealed off, but the stories continued to spread, a dark legend that haunted the halls of the school. So, the next time you walk into a classroom and feel a chill in the air, remember this story. Some places hold on to their secrets, and some secrets are better left undisturbed. And with that, let's move on to our next chilling tale. But the story doesn't end there. Years later, another student, curious about the legend, decided to investigate. Armed with a camera and a sense of adventure, he entered the sealed-off classroom. The air was thick with an eerie presence, and the temperature dropped instantly. As he panned his camera around, he captured a ghostly figure on screen. He felt eyes watching him, and the whispers began again, louder and more menacing. Overwhelmed with fear, he fled the classroom, leaving his camera behind. The camera was later found, but the footage was too disturbing to be shown. The classroom was sealed off once more, and the legend grew even darker. So if you ever find yourself in that school, remember the haunted classroom and the secrets it holds. Some places hold on to their secrets, and some secrets are better left undisturbed. And with that, let's move on to our next chilling tale. After a late-night practice, a student hears strange noises coming from the locker room. When they investigate, they find something terrifying. Imagine finishing up a late-night practice, exhausted, but feeling accomplished. As you head to the locker room, the once bustling hallways are eerily silent. The fluorescent lights flicker, casting unsettling shadows. You shrug it off, attributing it to your tired mind playing tricks on you, but as you approach the locker room, you hear it. A low, guttural noise that sends chills down your spine. At first you think it might be an animal, but the sound is too rhythmic, too intentional. You pause at the entrance, debating whether to enter. Curiosity gets the better of you, and you step inside, your footsteps echoing in the empty space. The air is thick with an unexplainable sense of dread, and the temperature seems to drop with each step you take. As you move deeper into the locker room, the noises grow louder. They seem to be coming from the far end, where the older, rarely used lockers are. Your heart pounds in your chest as you approach, each creak of the floor amplifying your fear. You reach the row of lockers and stop. The noise now a cacophony of whispers and groans. With trembling hands you open one of the lockers. It's empty. You try another and another, all empty. Just as you're about to give up, you hear a loud bang from behind you. You spin around, and there it is, a shadowy figure, barely visible in the dim light, standing at the entrance. Its eyes glow with an unnatural light, and it seems to be watching you, waiting. Panic sets in and you back away, but the figure moves closer, its form becoming more defined. You can feel the cold emanating from it, a bone-chilling cold that seeps into your very soul. Unable to take it any longer, you turn and run, not daring to look back. You burst out of the locker room, your breath coming in ragged gasps, and vow never to return. The next day you try to tell your friends, but they dismiss it as a trick of the light or your imagination running wild. But you know what you saw, what you felt. The locker room remains a place of fear, a place where the past and the supernatural collide in a terrifying dance. So the next time you find yourself alone in the locker room, remember this story. Some places are best left undisturbed, their secrets too horrifying to uncover. I delved deeper into the mystery of the locker room. The locker room had a history, one that was whispered among students but never confirmed. Decades ago, a tragic incident occurred, one that left a permanent mark on the school. A student had gone missing, last seen heading towards the locker room after practice. Despite extensive searches, the student was never found and the case went cold. Some say the locker room is haunted by the spirit of the missing student, forever trapped in the place they were last seen. Shadows move on their own, and strange noises echo through the halls at night. Those who dare to enter often feel an unsettling presence, as if they're being watched. Some have even claimed to see a ghostly figure, matching the description of the missing student. These sightings are rare, but Those who experience them are left deeply shaken. The story of the locker room has become a legend, passed down from one generation of students to the next. It's a tale that captivates and terrifies, a reminder of the unknown lurking in familiar places. So if you ever find yourself in the locker room late at night, remember the stories. The locker room is more than just a place to change. It's a portal to the past, a gateway to the unknown. The cold you feel isn't just the temperature, it's the chill of the supernatural. The whispers you hear aren't just the wind, they're echoes of the past, voices of those who never left. And the shadows you see aren't just tricks of the light, they're glimpses of the other side. So tread carefully and always be aware of your surroundings, because once you encounter the unknown, it stays with you, a memory that never fades. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest tales.